Hello everyone and welcome back to PGP Motorsports Park for the 5th race of the winter season. We're starting today with the last chance qualifying, and then after this race we're going to be doing the final where championship points will be scored and there'll be a podium ceremony and everything. But for now, we're in the LCQ, the last chance qualifying. This is where the bottom 10 finishers of their respective heat races go for the last chance to make it into the final where they can potentially get onto a podium. And if they finish in the top 4, then they get to progress to that 24 kart final.
Now, a surprising development is that we have a lot of finalists here in our LCQ. We got, that looks to be Randy on pole here, and next to him is Seb? Is that Seb? We'll get names as they cross the line, but other names include Davidson, David, and we'll get all the names. I think Todd's in there as well, but yeah, we have like a lot of finalists in this LCQ. But there they come, cross line, flag bearer, where's the flag? The flag's waved in their away. Going into turn 1, the track is slick, but it's been drying up slightly, so it's going to be very tricky getting turn 1 correctly here as they go through roller coaster. Roller coaster seems to be...
Oh, I heard a big crash in the barriers in the back there, but it looks like everyone made it out.
Just kidding.
Now, until they got to double apex, and then someone got a little bit twisty right there, lost a lot of momentum, dropped right to the back, but their car was still facing the right direction, so that means they can still progress on into the race.
Absolute carnage, but we're at the beginning stages of this 20-minute stint. So for this last chance qualifying here, there's still plenty of time to make it to those top 4 positions.
As I see 2 wide through bus stop, which is a little bit hectic, especially in these little bit moister conditions than we would want out here. But yeah, 2 wide for the
3
second
wide.
place right there. And on the outside line gets the worm, and then someone's going to dive up on the inside. He gets it slowed down. I thought that was going to be chaos, but that does seem to be a little bit of a drier part of the track. Speaking of chaos, there's a big old cluster right there.
That is Todd taking the lead in through turn 4. I'm not sure if you got that on camera, but Todd takes the lead away from Randy. So our top 4 is getting settled in position with 5th place on the hunt. I'll get the names up for you as they cross the line, but judging from what I can see here, Todd coming through, followed by Randy, really squiggly in turn 2. The grip is everywhere and nowhere all at once. You can see just how tricky it is. They're trying to control the karts through the turns, but it's so difficult with how damp it is. The track's not drying as much as they'd like.
Todd has built up quite the gap already after taking first place. He might run away with it and guarantee his spot in that 24th place with how the race is cooking at the moment.
The tracker's not updating. Give me a few moments.
See a little bit of 3-wide action through light bulb as Sergey, or no, not Sergey, it's just someone else with a striped black helmet.
All right, so we got I got your top 4 right here. It's Todd, Randy, Aiden, also known as Joseph Checkers, and in 4th place is Addison. Addison is the one who, he's a relatively new racer out here, and if he keeps up this good work that he's displayed here, he's going to make it into the final for, I believe, the first time. However, in the hunt behind him is Mukil, who a few races ago we saw Mukil carve his way into the final as well. Let's see if he can make anything work as he is battling Davidson for 5th place. Davidson, who's usually in the final, is battling Mukil, and we'll see how this pans out. But the more they fight, the farther away 4th place gets. Davidson on the inside of turn 1, hooks that curb, loses a lot of momentum because of how tricky these conditions are, but tucks right behind. So we got an intense battle for 5th, but unfortunately, that's only slowing everyone down and letting the top 4 get away, which is really good news for Addison.
Yeah, Addison sounds like...
Davidson on the inside of double apex, gonna take the outside of light bulb, gets the grip and makes the pass by the time they even enter light bulb. So that's Davidson taking 5th place. Bad news for Mukil, who drops back to 6th, but now Davidson's on a charge to see if he can catch up to Addison. Addison's going to have a lot on his plate because Davidson's very aggressive and he knows how to overtake, as we just saw.
Yep. And so now, as that gap is closing, Davidson closing ever so quickly on Addison. That gap already disappearing. Davidson already looking at potential angles to get past him as he's going to throw it up on the inside into turn 4. There's going to be a little bit of slight contact. Davidson's going to try to make his way out to the outside, but he'll have to pull back and fall into line behind Allison here. And Davidson has the momentum. Allison dives onto the inside, Davidson on the outside. Let's see if there's going to be a better cutback here from Davidson, and there is. He dives onto the inside, gets in front, and forces Allison to the outside line. And Davidson seems to have it. Oh, but there's a little bit of contact as Davidson goes a little bit sideways, it looked like there. Or just a little bit of loss of grip. And Davidson gets away from it, and Allison loses the spot to Mokil behind.
Really unfortunate for Addison there. He tried to fight back too hard and went for a gap that no longer exists. And that's what sent Davidson a little bit sideways. But Addison fortunately didn't force the issue and cause a spin. So really unfortunate for Addison there. But Davidson manages to make the move and is now in the top 4. Also, further update, David is now in 5th and is going to be hunting Davidson for 4th. So there's a lot of jockeying for position and lots of positions being swapped around out on track. Lots of battles out on track here today.
Especially near top of the world where we see some two-wide action going on, going into bus stop, but they just barely get into line. Is that James Kempf back there?
That is not James Kempf. That is Addison. Addison dropped back that far, I believe. Oh, wait, no, I'm looking at your camera view. That is, James Kempf is in the final.
Okay, yeah, James Kempf is in the final. It's just a different green outfit with red tinted visor thing going on. But here we see...
That is Davidson battling Randy. Holy moly, Davidson's battling for 2nd. He's on a charge.
Yeah, already moved up from 4th to 3rd, that is.
Yep, Davidson's currently battling for 2nd against Randy Cole. These two are usually finalists, and now they're demonstrating why they're finalists with how hard they're battling.
Yeah, 2 wide all the way throughout the entirety of turn 2. Davidson has to fall back through turn 1. Maybe he'll try to go for like a little bit of an undercut to get on that outside line for roller coaster. And there it is, side by side across the pit straight. Davidson right onto the outside line. Is he going to be braver on the brakes into roller coaster? They're still going to make it too wide through roller coaster. They're going to go out of shot. And are they both going to emerge? They're both going to emerge. And it now looks like Davidson still doesn't quite have the position secured, but he's on the outside for double apex in the wet. And so that's pretty much a done deal as Davidson takes 2nd place from Randy.
Brilliantly played by Davidson, carving his way through the field. An update as well, our top 4. Todd just ran away with it. Todd's way ahead.
There's Todd.
Yeah, he's 5 seconds ahead. Yep. We got Davidson, Randy, and in 4th place is our good old Joseph Checkers, also known as Aiden Rumin. Joseph Checkers, defending 4th from David, who is forcing his way on the inside. David is really battling. We have a big battle for 4th place here.
As Joseph takes the spot from Randy, it looks like, and then David takes the spot from Randy as well. I think Randy fell back 2 positions there.
Oh, yes, Randy is now in 5th place. He started on pole and is now in 5th. Let's see if he can fight back. He has the momentum to stay right behind David, and let's see what he can do. The track changes every lap from what I've heard in the drivers. Because it's not raining, but it rained overnight, it's still pretty cool out here. The sun's briefly been shining off and on. So every lap, the grip slightly gets different. You could push just a little bit harder. So let's see what kind of advantages they could find now. The driver tracker finally updated. Let's go.
We now have a live scoreboard. Yippee. Or somewhat live. Everyone's just kind of in a line right now, going through double apex into light bulb they go, following through that. Todd just so far away.
What the heck? From
this battle. And then in 5th place, it looks like we still have Randy, who's fallen off a little bit from... I hear noises out there.
Yeah, someone's yelling.
I saw a little bit of a yellow flag waved, but I don't see where the thing is. Where the incident is. I'll have to check on all the people, see if they're all still there. Oh, did Todd make a mistake?
I don't know.
Because Todd is now well within range of Davidson at this point.
I don't know what you're looking at. Todd and Davidson are very far apart. I've been looking through OBS because there seems to have been a little error, but it's okay. We just won't get the driver tracker for this.
It's not 5 seconds like it used to be.
It's not. But it's still a substantial gap.
Yeah,
but it seems like our
substantial gap, there's none of that here as they're going too wide through turn 2. The battle resuming as 3 karts are involved in this little bit of a squabble right now. And now 4 karts. Can't identify them off rip at the moment, but there was a little bit of too wide action, and they're going to probably come together as potential overtakes are thrown through roller coaster. Now they're going to play it safe, fall into that train line, make it on the other side, and then the battles will resume as I see a little bit of a sneak onto the inside of double apex, but that's just not going to work there because there just isn't enough grip on that inside there, and so they're going to fall back a little bit, and that battle's still going on.
That is a battle for 5th, by the way.
The battle for 5th. So I believe Randy's in this one?
Yes. Randy is the one that is spearheading that one.
There's Randy, McKill, and Alicent in this battle, I believe.
Yes. That is Randy, or rather, that is Newton ahead of Randy, ahead of McKill, ahead of... That can't be Joseph Checkers because he's in front. That is Linus.
Yep. Speaking of Joseph Checkers being in front, that is no longer the case as David was able to get by Joseph Checkers at the back here and promote himself up into 3rd.
I got Linus mixed up. Linus is the one in the front. Linus is ahead of Randy. So it's Linus in 5th. And David got past Joseph Checkers.
Yep.
But that's David's now in 3rd. Joseph's now in 4th. Still our top 4. And Linus is on a charge to see if he can make it into the final, but it's gonna be a lot to catch up to Joseph Checkers. He's fast.
He is quite fast, and that gap between Davidson and Todd has just been shrinking. But I'm not sure if the battle's gonna get too crazy, even if they do catch up and close up that gap.
Oh no, we got a kart spun out in turn 1. I don't know what happened there. He went too deep on the inside, and he's clear now.
Just got lost in the roller coaster a little bit as we see a little bit of some too wide action in light bulb still. I believe this is currently the battle for 6th as 5th place kind of ran away.
Yep. We got a battle for 6 spearheaded by Randy. Right behind him is Makina, and behind him is Addison, who fell all the way back to 7th. Or 8th, actually. Ouch.
That is ouch right there. But they are in the battle. They are in the most entertaining spot on the track. They just have to prove... they're here to prove that they have the racecraft and they can throw in some good book maneuvers to...
Update. Davidson has caught up to Todd for the lead of the race.
That did not last long at all. I guess Todd didn't make a mistake. Davidson's pace is just that great.
Davidson's on fire.
To shrink that 5-second gap.
He's making hand motions. He's going for it. Davidson's going to try to go for the win here.
He's going for the content. Through double apex, Todd and Davidson are making their way through into light bulb. They're going to be hugging that left turn. David calculating where he can potentially make his move. I feel like he just has the track understood. I've been seeing him taking much narrower lines that is able to still hold all the momentum. I think he just has the best knowledge of the current state of the track at the moment, and that's what's shown his glorious pace. How much faster is his lap times compared to everyone else?
That's a good question. If the driver tracker was actually working on OBS, I'd get that information for you. However, we see Davidson dive down on the inside, Todd on the outside. Todd doesn't seem to fight it too hard. I think he knows that there's too much to lose at this stage, and he's not necessarily content with coming in second, but he knows that the bigger picture, they're both moving on to the final. He's just going to have to resume this battle in the final, where there's a lot more to play for.
Yeah, that was an extremely quick overtake as well. Davidson just snuck up on the inside in turn 5 right there. He was ahead before they even got into turn 4 and was able to get the full advantage of the full line through turn 4 onto the back straight and secure his position. It was just done and dusted in a flash. Very impressive work.
So
But
we're
no.
starting to enter the late stages of the race, and it seems the racing has, for the most part, died down a bit.
Except for this squad of 3.
Except for this squabble in the back. I totally jinxed it. It's Randy defending against Mukil. Mukil really hard on the brakes. That was very controlled. That's a battle for 6th place.
They're going to be making their way into double apex. There's no lunges made yet, but he is right on the
Contact.
bumper. There's a little bit of contact even.
That
as he
was
just has
Mukil
so
getting
much forward
overzealous.
speed. Oh, what happened there?
Mukil got overzealous and tried to go for a gap that didn't exist. There's been a lot of that today, I've noticed. Lots of racers getting too eager and going for gaps that they shouldn't be going for because they're not alongside as they go through and they make contact, and it's just unfortunate across the board. I blame the new year. Honestly, it's a new year, first race of the year. Everyone wants to go out racing. Can you really blame them?
Yeah, it's possibly the first race of the year. I didn't check the year stamp when I uploaded the last race.
That race happened back in December.
Yeah, that race was a year ago, but here we are in the new year. with
It was
two
last
people.
year, not a year ago. Big difference there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe this is going to be the second to last lap. Our top 3 crossing the line now. In 4th place, Joseph Checkers is now under threat by Linus, actually. We may see a battle for 4th. Linus looks like he has...
Someone's completely lost it and slammed into the barrier.
I heard that.
Yeah, I heard that too. You can see the dirt trail as they scoured through the grass right there to collide into the bunker. Or to the bumpers there.
I didn't see what happened, but honestly, that might have been just a complete accident based on the track conditions. I overheard Paulo talking to me earlier before the race started about how during qualifying, the entrance to turn 2 is slick, but the apex of turn 2 is dry. So if you don't perfectly nail the entrance, you're just going to get sent off into the barrier. And that might be what happened to that racer over there. I know who that is, but I'm not going to name him. I talked to him before the race. He's having a good time out here. So it's just really unfortunate that he found himself in the barrier.
Yeah, and it looks like he's about to get lapped, but the battle still raging on back here between these 2 contestants for 4th place, Joseph Checkers. And
Joseph Checkers on the inside, Linus on the outside. Joseph dives in the inside, gets that braking perfectly. That was brilliantly executed, but he lost too much momentum. That lets Linus go on the outside. We're going to have a 2-bite going into turn 2.
oh my goodness.
Joseph knows there's grip on the inside,
This for 4th
but Linus
place.
gets the outside, can't get his foot in the door.
Davidson wins the race. Todd takes 2nd.
It's
David
white
takes
flag.
3rd. And then
There's
for
still
4th
more.
place-
There's still more.
still more.
There's still another lap to go.
Oh my goodness.
The race
it's so
isn't over
tense.
yet. But Linus actually took the position away. And now it's up to Joseph to try to get through and into the final. So Joseph, who was sitting comfortably in 4th all race, just got sniped by Linus.
But the gap had just been closing between Joseph and Linus, and so it's going to be a very tall order for Joseph to find the pace that he didn't have before in order to catch up and potentially even overtake. It's just going to be his job to stick as close as he can to Linus throughout this entire lap. Not make any mistakes, not lose any more gap to be in the hopeful position of being able to get 2 wide.
Honestly,
On that
there's a
very
joke
last-
to be made about Joseph Checkers getting jumped, but that ain't for me to make.
No, he's only been jumped by 2 people, so that's only 2 pieces lost.
Fine. There's still half a lap to go. Can Joseph make up that lost position? There's only 3 corners left.
Will he
But-
be able to get to the other side into the final and king himself?
Almost. He's right behind him. But as we focus on that battle, Davidson man takes 1st place, followed very closely by Todd and David, but in 4th place emerges Joseph Checkers on the inside, but doesn't have the momentum. It's going to be Linus who snatches that 4th place away into the final.
And just before the edge of the board, Joseph Checkers is out, and we have our top 4 finishers for the LCQ. Joseph will get his points secured already. The top 4 move on to the final, where there's the potential for even more points and a potential podium. And in that final is where we'll see you. Hello everyone and welcome to the final. We have all 24 karts here, our top 4 finishers from the LCQ, and they're all eager to race in this drying track condition. They're going to form up for their rolling start. All 24 karts together, yellow flag is waved to bring them all together there. And this is where the points are. We're at the 5th race of the winter season, so we're past the halfway point and trends are solidified. Championships are still under peril, as Steven, at the end of the last race, is still our championship leader. But here we have Palau in conditions that he excels at.
And the best part about all this, Steven and Palau line up together on the front row. So we got a championship battle, hot, ready to start. Right behind them is Thomas and Chem. Just kidding, that's Thomas and Kirk, my bad. And right behind them is James Kempf, who is not in the LCQ, and William Yee. So that's our top 6. Spencer in 7th, Chem in 8th, Sergey in 9th, and can I get who's in 10th? Is that Seb in 10th? I think that's Seb in 10th. There's the top 10. As they pull out onto the front straight, the flag bearer raises the flag. The flag's waved and they're away. 2 by 2, down they go down the front straight. Into roller coaster, not as damp as it was in the previous race because it's dried up, but Steven takes the lead of the race. Palau dives on the inside, trying to fend off against Thomas, and he does. It looks like he does from this angle. So yes, Steven gets a great start. Now Palau has to catch up to Steven. Thomas defending. We got a Thomas train right out the gate, but we know that Thomas is a race winner out here. So he's also used to be a championship contender. I don't know how he's doing the standings, but he left the door open for Kirk. Kirk on the inside, the top of the world, going around that 2 by 2 into Lightbulb, and Thomas gets ahead. Kirk wisely tucks behind, defending against James. So that, and in all this carnage, it seems Palau has caught up to Steven. Both of them are starting to get away. We're starting to see some Verstappen-Hamilton vibes here. The top 2 getting away from the rest of the pack. As they go into turns 5 and 4, and so far, everyone seems to be racing really hard, but there's lots of carnage in the back and lots of tension in the front.
There's also tension in the back, but it just has a lot of minor collisions. It doesn't look like anyone's been spun out too greatly, maybe some losses of momentum here and there. And as I say that, huge water splash in the back as someone goes flying off the track and into the barrier.
That's really unfortunate for them, but
they're able to quickly rejoin.
The person that caused it lets them by. That's great sportsmanship in the back. But focusing now on the front, we got Steven leading Palau, leading Thomas, leading Kirk, leading James, William. That's our top 6. Let me get those names up for you. I actually got the... We're not going to have lap times because OBS made the executive decision to break things between races. So just the top 10 names are what we're going to have today. If you want lap time info, I'll have to get it manually. I can do that. I can do it manually. Just give me a second.
Yeah. Take some time.
But Palau slipped by while I wasn't looking.
There's a little bit of cut. Oh, it was so close.
I think Steven might have braked a little too hard, bumped into Palau, and almost compromised himself, but kept it facing forward. Kirk trying to grit through in turn 5 and not succeeding and just slowing down and dragging Thomas with him. Kirk really wanting to get by to get that podium spot, but Thomas ain't having any of it. And that lets Steven make a move on Palau. Steven, Palau, side by side into turn 2. These two are going to be fighting all race. This is going to be fantastic. We can see all the karts slipping into turn 2. The entrance to turn 2 is still slippery. That's going to leave a lot of overtaking possibilities as the race progresses. Thomas caught right back up. We got a really solid fight for the lead on our hands. Palau defending against not Spencer. I'm so used to seeing Spencer in the front. No, it's Steven this time.
And it's of course just made all the more exciting as this is, I think it's literally for the championship lead right now, this particular battle.
It is.
This race can decide if Steven will remain on the top or if he'll just be put into second place to match up with all of his other race finishes.
I was about to say, if Steven just came in second again, and his last fourth place position was a dropped race, he'll continue his second place streak, but something tells me Steven doesn't want to come in second place all the time. I am about 100% sure that Steven wants to win, so he's going to do whatever he can to do that. The only problem with that is Palau is kind of a force to be reckoned with. He's the defending champion multiple times. And it looks like David, who is one of our LCQ finalists, is stuck off track. I think there might be something wrong with his kart. But, don't put him on. Don't put him out right in front of oncoming traffic. Come on, guys.
Oh, no, they have to wait, but David will
wait for everyone to go by.
David will be a lap down here.
Yeah.
Nowhere to rejoin, which is...
That's unfortunate for David.
That is really unfortunate.
That might have been a technical issue.
But Palau flying by with that first place, very secure. What I will mention before we saw the David issue is that it looked like Steven was bump drafting Palau in that back straight. He was in the draft and potentially had an opportunity to make a move, but he did not go for that move because I believe he was looking to get distance between himself and third place Thomas, so that way he doesn't lose more when he tries to go for a overtake. He wants it to be a duel. He wants it to be that 1v1.
In very familiar territory, is doing exactly what you just described. By building the gap between himself and Thomas, who is currently defending against Kirk, that lets Steven just have a single mono-a-mono duel against Palau, who is in the lead.
Yeah.
So we're going to see a one-on-one.
Yeah, we'll probably see it again unless he decides to go for the move here. Nope. He pulls up to the back of him, pushes him, and then they go into the brakes into turn 2. He's just wanting to get that gap up. He knows he has the draft and can just increase their pace.
Steven's playing this very patiently, and as well he should. He's being very calculated in his approach, and Palau knows this. These two have been in this exact position many times in the past. Also worth noting is that Palau and Steven here, our top two racers, after this season will no longer be racing in this rental league season as Steven goes down the inside. Steven gonna make the move on Palau, and he gets by Palau into turn 1 in a roller coaster, no longer being nearly as patient as I thought he would, and now it's gonna be up to Palau to take that lead back. Steven, the provisional championship leader, gonna break his second place streak by taking a win, if he can hold this position.
Yeah, that's the big trick there, because something that Steven was taking advantage of there was just the draft. They're flying down the straights at semi-dry speeds on that straight, and that draft is just super helpful for them to build up on that pace. And after that overtake, we see that he's not building up that gap. Paulo's just sticking right to him. So for all we know, we're just going to see them go back and forth if they choose to.
So, for reference, I checked the lap times, and the laps they're setting are about 10 seconds slower than a full dry day. So that tells me that the track is still very damp, slick, and tricky. You can't push too hard or you'll find yourself in the barrier. Don't do that. But it's not so wet that you gotta take wet lines and be too cautious. So we have a very mixed conditions day today, and that's got a lot of racers off guard, first of all. And it's... adaptability is the name of the game today. And it seems our top 5 have actually... are still in it. That top 5, as they cross the line, Steven, Palau, Thomas, Kirk, and William Yee. Those are our top 5 right now.
Yeah, something I will note is that in the straights, I'm noticing that Palau isn't able to catch up to Steven to give him the bump draft. Palau is not able to bump draft Steven in the straights as far as I've seen.
Checking the lap times, and it seems Palau... Actually, funny story. Palau and Steven, their best laps are slower than Thomas's. What this means is that Thomas can actually catch up to Palau and Steven and contest the lead of the race. Case in point, that gap is diminishing fast. I think Kirk has caught on and isn't badgering Thomas nearly as much. We could see him giving that bump draft down the back straight. Yeah, Kirk wants to win as well, and he knows that if he wants to win, he's going to have to work together with Thomas, at least for now, just to catch up to our leaders, which they have.
I think Paulo threw a half move on Steven that didn't work, and Paulo lost all his momentum. Now he's under threat from Thomas, who is right behind him in turn 2. Will Thomas try to bump draft him, or will he try to take the place now that they're in this position?
Thomas smells metaphorical blood. Thomas is going to fight this, I think. He knows that if he sees an opening, he's going to go for it. At least, that's what I think of Thomas. When I raced with him back in the day, he'd go for it, and I'd be all like, well, he went for it, okay. But yeah, Thomas knows how to win races. In fact, everyone in the top 5 here knows how to win a race because they've won a race before. I'm pretty sure Williams won a race.
Yeah. Of course, if you don't know how to win a race, what you do is you have to finish ahead of everyone else in the first place. Yep. That's the way that you win a race right there. You got to finish in front of everyone else. And it looks like Steven is the one who's demonstrating his knowledge the most here, as he is in front of everyone else. The biggest thing is, though, will he cross the line in front of everyone else here? And the gap between Paulo and Thomas is actually increased in that last section right there. Paulo getting suctioned right up to the back of Steven right there.
And then,
and able to give him,
almost as if it's magical, Thomas catches right back up. I think that gap might just be the concertina effect from turns 5 and 4, and then they just catch up because he has a lot more braking leeway in turn 3. But it seems they're all going to settle in, scope each other out, and pull the trigger when they can. Oh, Paulo's giving that bump draft. Paulo is bump drafting Steven like crazy down the front straight.
But even with that down the front straight, Thomas was able to just keep up.
I think
Thomas is now solidly within the draft at this point.
Paulo realizes and respects that Thomas is a threat and is going to do what he can to play this as smart as he can, which I know he will. Being able to keep a cool head in these front positions is a lot easier said than done.
Very much so. A lot easier said than done, as the gap between Thomas and Paulo just kind of grows and shrinks throughout these various sections here, and we're going to see Paulo stuck right behind Steven at the exit of turn 4. This time Thomas gets a slightly better exit, and the gaps do not grow or shrink that much. They're quite within step of each other, and Paulo a lot better on the braking through turn 2, it looks like, as that gap... Well, that's just accordion effect as they go into the braking zones. Never mind.
So, as these top three are battling, surprisingly, Kirk is starting to fall off a little bit. Kirk, who was badgering Thomas, seems to have lost a little bit of pace. Kind of surprising. I was imagining we're going to have like a 5-6-way battle, like a big train here, which we still might. I think the reason why it's cleared up was because now that they're in clean air and they're not fighting each other, their raw pace is now on the table.
And the raw pace is quite extraordinary out here. Thomas still hovering behind him. Does he still have the fastest lap above Steven and Paulo?
So Steven and Paulo have Steven, Paulo, and Thomas have like the same exact fastest lap times. And Kirk is about 3/10 behind in terms of that. So the top 5, their lap times are separated by about 3/10. So their paces are roughly equal, but it's going to kind of settle out.
And it looks like there might have been a micro mistake from Thomas as he just falls out of that slipstream range and within Kurt's range this last lap. Just a small mistake caused that much of an effect. A mistake that none of us would have been able to see.
But what we can see...
Except for its effects. But now it's 2x2 as the top 4 split off into their slipstream partners.
Now, low-key, despite keeping our eyes on the leaders, I've been keeping my eye on 7th place. There's been a crazy 3-way battle for 7th between Chem, Spencer, and James. Those 3 have been jockeying and swapping positions every lap, multiple times per lap, as you can see.
Who's that pulling in to the pits?
Good question. I'll get that information. But, yeah, there's a crazy battle in the back. That's Davidson pulling into the pits. Unfortunate. Worked so hard in the LCQ, but, hey.
Not quite able to make up enough.
So, our top 6 is so far ahead of 7th. When they cross the line, I'm going to get that gap to you between 6th and 7th. But that's crazy. Between Seb in 6th and Chem in 7th. Like, our top 6 have gotten away. Heck, our top 2 have gotten away. Look at this gap.
Yeah. Crazy gap here. Hopefully Palau doesn't make a move while I'm not looking at them, because we have this bottom 4 right here. Looks like these 2 slipstream partners are about to converge for the battle for 3rd place. A 4-way battle.
There is an 8-second gap between 6th and 7th. Our top 6 have just ran off with it, and our top 2 have ran off with it by 2 seconds.
The pace difference is crazy. Both Steven and Palau pretty much have mastered this track and these conditions. I know that Paulo's pretty much of a rain master himself, as he tends to get these massive gaps and damp conditions, but it looks like there's a move thrown for 3rd place, or moves Thomas a little bit out of the way. It's Kirk who moves up onto the inside of Thomas through turn 5 there and gets the position. Thomas, a little bit compromised on momentum, will try to get everything that he can back from it, and he's still keeping up that battle with Kirk.
Square dancing out there. It's 2 by 2, 2 wide, 2 rows into turn 3.
Yeah,
and they keep it choreographed. Kirk out there really aggressive, diving on the inside. There's plenty of contacts, but they all come away clean.
And
Thomas ain't giving up either.
The as well. They've given up on that gap.
Side by side for the lead. Into turn 1. Steven on the outside defending against Palau on the outside. Palau decided now's the time to strike. I think he senses that everyone behind him has fought extremely hard, but Palau couldn't take it away from turn 1. We have a lot of battles in our top positions. Paulo's going to be attacking for the lead now that Thomas and Kirk behind, as well as Seb and William, are caught in their own massive 4-way squabble.
Yeah, with a lot of micro contacts going on as well, so the drivers' tensions are just building up as they feel that they've been aggressed on and moved from their racing line.
Speaking of racing line, I saw Palau try to scope out how dry the track is on the inside of 7. Not very dry, as he loses some momentum and is going to have to catch back up to Steven.
Yeah,
now, let's focus on the battle for 3rd. Battle for 3rd. We got Kirk on the outside, or behind Thomas, bump drafting him. And, woo! That would have been close. Kirk very aggressive. He really wants to get by Thomas for 3rd place now. He can sense that the top 2 are getting away, so now Kirk is just on the offensive. As the white flag is waved, it is the final lap. Everything's to play for now. If you're going to make a move, now's the time to do it.
And the question is, will Steven finally get his first win of the season?
Or will Palau take that from him in a grand display of overtaking, but he needs to catch up. Palau is within striking distance, but he's not within overtake distance. So now it's up to Palau to really put on his A game. And it seems Steven got the message. Steven is really pushing now. All 6 of our top 6 are giving everything they have. And it's going to be a no-holds-barred battle all the way through the rest of this final lap.
Palau taking every narrow angle that he could find. He used that last lap as a scoping lap, and now that he's figured out the best lines, he's already right behind Steven. An overtake brewing in his mind. He's had the entire track pretty much behind Steven, so he knows the lines.
It's going to come down to the last 3 corners. Steven wisely defends the inside, but he throws the dummy, and the dummy has been thrown. Both of them think better of taking that inside line because they know they don't want to compromise. There's some serious mind games going on, but Steven defending the inside, Paul also on the inside. Steven's going to keep that door tightly shut as he crosses the line. Just kidding. Palau sneaks in the inside. Can he get it? The momentum. And Palau
Steven loses it!
at the last corner.
Forever!
Oh!
Steven stuck in second place, and now his championship position will be reflecting that as well, as the curse of second place goes strong. And Palau takes that first place championship, undoubtedly. And Thomas securing his third place against Kurt. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you at the podium.
Coming out today, definitely a little bit of a tricky track out there, but you guys got down going pretty fast. Down to 82s in the main event, which honestly didn't think you guys were going to get down to. So good on you. Starting off in third place today, had a best lap time of an 82.730, finishing 2.24 off the lead. Thomas Heacock. Taking that second place out there with an 82.950, 0.49 off the lead. We got Stephen Barrett. And let me just sanity check myself. Nope, not him. Coming in first place with the best lap time of an 82.477. We got Palau Patini. These are cool. Yeah, pretty cool. And the best lap of today went to Alex Acosta with an 81.749. Nice job, Alex.
You got the fastest lap. Oh, really?
Yeah, you're the only one in the, not the only one. Yeah, you're the only one in the 81s. Nice job.